Now I feel good and we're gonna have a great day. So, thank you for coming. This is Otis-Roubaix. This is the Tour of Flanders in Akron. It's super up. We got weird shit the whole time. Don't run into people, don't run into stuff. Everything is optional, nothing is recommended. That's all the safety is. Don't hurt people, don't hurt yourself. If you're not feeling good, go fuck home.
So in the last video, I was talking about how the winter blues had really been getting to me this year. Well, last weekend wasn't really any better weather-wise, but the thing that really changed is getting to hang out with all these great people that you'll see. So on Saturday, it was cold and snowy and gray, but we did a channel meetup ride. We met at the studio, and you're able to get bike portraits there if you wanted to. We talked, had a beer. Then we took off and headed over to Dirty River Bicycle Works, where people got a chance to check out the shop. And then when the shop closed, more people had met us there, and we took off. We did kind of a industrial gravel ride for the ride, which was a lot of fun. We mixed that up with some pavement and bike path and all of that. I got to meet a lot of people that I have not met in person before. Blackball Chris right there in the front. We've been chatting online, I think, since 2020, and he came down from Toronto. The people came down from the Cleveland suburbs, Canton, Ravenna, all over. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great ride. We actually wanted to see who was going to show up and see what people felt like, and Brad led the way here and added a few more cuts along the trail, and we kind of extended the ride since it seemed like people were up for that. So good ride, chatting with everybody, and then we headed out to Madcap Brewing. I figured that would be a good spot. They have kind of like a beer hall style setup. I really messed up here. I was taking photos. I rode off the front to take photos of everybody as they came by. The last thing I had done with my camera, though, was take a YouTube thumbnail, so I had my camera set on self-timer. So the big group started going by, and I could only take a photo every 2 seconds. So I'm super annoyed that I missed out on so many photos. I mean, I got a couple good ones to come out, but yeah. What an amateur move for a professional photographer. So again, just a great ride, a great bicycle chat. The cold and the snow couldn't keep us down. Here we are stopping at the Doodlebug Memorial, worst train wreck in Cuyahoga Falls history. I do want to do more of these meetups. If you're someone who was thinking about coming out and maybe you're like, oh, I'm too shy, or I'm too awkward, just show up. Most of us are a bunch of oddballs. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I also met you guys, so. But yeah, really, we're welcoming. Show up, say your name, ask about someone's bike. Everybody here loves to talk about bikes, so there's no issue with that. I use the Discord app or website to plan these meetups, or any meetups that I'm not even involved in. You could post your own events or something you have going on in your town if you're not local to here, or if you are local anyways. But it is just basically a glorified messaging board. There's a link below, so if you want to join up, we've got spots to share pictures of your bikes and all that. Nothing spammy about it. It's just like a way to have community that just works better than YouTube comments do. Besides my mess up with the self-timer, which I had a moment to fix before Aaron and Otis and Kelly had ridden by, I realized too, again, and this happens so often to me, how few photos I took with my nice camera as I rode with it the whole time. When we went out to Madcap, I didn't take any photos there. And I get home and I'm like kind of slightly annoyed with myself because I would love to have the photos. I would love to share them of everyone on Instagram and put some more stills in these YouTube videos, but it's also to me a sign of what a good time I had, because I'm standing there having these great conversations, and the camera and social media and YouTube are kind of the last thing on my mind, even though that's what brought us all together. So I guess that's always mixed emotions for me, where I'm like, man, use that camera you were carrying, but at the same time, pay attention to the people you're actually talking to and sometimes not worry about it. So here we are on the hike and bike trail that runs between Cuyahoga Falls and Kent, Ohio. I wanted to go out this way. It's definitely not the most direct route because we wanted to hit some of that dirt and do some of the industrial gravel, but also because if you're from out of town, it's a unique trail as it's not flat and straight. It's like actually curvy and hilly and a lot of fun to ride. You could kind of really time the rollers where if you get some speed going down, it'll get you up the next one, in and out of the woods. So I always think it's really fun. Here we are doing some light trespassing. This avoids a really main road. I wouldn't go through this gravel yard on a weekday during the day, but on a weekend, we're not doing anything. We weren't stopping and hanging out. So here we are at Madcap. It's pretty cool. Madcap put in a restaurant, also a window you could walk up to, which made things flow pretty well. We had a little bit of mechanical. Yinzer House broke his chain on the way back. He just can't control his watts. So Otis helped fix that all up. And then I think some of us had one more beer back at the studio, but everybody kind of went their own ways. And then the next morning was the Otis-Roubaix. So Otis-Roubaix is Otis's route. He is the owner of Dirty River Bicycle Works. He's the one introducing the ride right here. And what this is he tries to find a route with all of Akron's steepest, gnarliest hills. So Akron is it is a high place. That's what Akron means. Akros from the Greek Acropolis, Summit County, obviously Summit. But a lot of our hills are kind of formed actually by the Cuyahoga Valley and the Little Cuyahoga Valley. So Otis announced it as kind of Akron's tour of Flanders, and it is like that a lot. Like when we first hit the west part of town, we're kind of snaking up and down, that kind of edge of the river valley. But Akron doesn't have any very long sustained climbs, but it has a lot of steep, punchy climbs just because of the topography. Here, this is the Main Street Bridge, the Y Bridge that goes over the Little Cuyahoga Valley, and you could get a sense of, it's a pretty decent-sized river valley there. So it was really interesting, and it makes for a really challenging ride. We were able to get about 4,000 feet in 40 miles, and some of the hills are brick, and so we did a couple gravel ones, didn't do as many gravel climbs this year as we did in years past, but GoPros never really show how steep stuff is, but the Strava will be linked below if you want to check out what the route looked like in the elevation profile. I went out and I was kind of riding with my buddy Mikey for a while, and then we stopped at some point he had to take a leak, and I wanted to shed some layers. And then I kind of ended up falling in with the guys who came in town from Pittsburgh and a few other people, Glenn, Otis. So at that point, last year I started late and kind of moved through groups forward since I started behind everybody. This time I kind of went out a little faster and kind of moved through groups backwards as we took breaks and hung out and stuff like that. And I'm glad I did because, again, this is my hometown and my home roads, and I do know most of the route, so why not spend it with friends? Another new one right there. So yeah, it was awesome. And again, thanks for everyone who came up on this day. Again, there were people from the Cleveland suburbs. I know someone came up from Canton. Some people came up and said, what's up, who were from out in Grand Rapids, and not attributing this all to me. Otis puts on a great event and promoted it as well. These things are always kind of hard to film, because climbing up steep hills really slowly doesn't always make for the best footage. So as you could tell, I tried to film more of the descents. And also, as you guys know, or some of you may know, I film mostly with the GoPro in my mouth. And when you're climbing up a hill that pitches up to 20%, it's kind of hard to not have your mouth wide open, breathing as hard as you can. As mentioned, I did need to stop and shed some layers. I did go out a little bit overdressed, but it was only 20 when I got up, as mentioned. And then the sun made the reel feel a lot warmer than the temperature ever said this day. I think it only got into the mid-30s. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I have to say, I was wearing this wool base layer, tights, and top from Thermowave Wool. They sent me some stuff early in the season, and I tried it out, and I've absolutely loved it now that I've used it for a whole winter. They're a Lithuanian family company, and they really are intense about like their working conditions and sustainability and all that. But, you know, really that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they make a great product, and I do have an affiliate link for them below, so check it out. I just looked at their website to remember that information, and they're having a big sale. So that kind of end of the season sale, that goes with anything you're looking for right now, winter-wise. Start searching all the sites of what you like to score some deals. But yeah, I am going to give a plug once in a while because it's a product I believe in, and you can help out the channel if you're interested. Anyways, this was awesome. We had a beer stop actually in my neighborhood. Otis's friends had brought their like little ATV thing, and they had a bunch of different kind of beer. So stopped there and got to chat with Garrett, and drawing a total blank on the guy right there who I did meet and said he watches the channel. I know he was from the Cleveland area as well. Maybe Chardon, he said. I met so many people, so I'm sorry that I don't always remember names, but feel free to drop your name back in the comments below. Here I am with my good buddies Tony and Bob. I think the turnout was over 100 people, so it was, like I said, moving through groups and chatting with different people, whether they were people you knew or people you just met that day because you were all in it together, was a ton of fun. This is one of those rides that it doesn't matter how fast or slow you go, you're going to be tired at the end because you're just climbing and climbing. And like I said, I know people always give us smack out here and say, like, we don't have mountains, we don't have this, we don't have that. I stand by the fact that climbing punchy things over and over again could be just as difficult as, if not more difficult than doing long, sustained climbs. So just the way I feel, and unless you've done it, I don't think you should knock how difficult it can be. So everyone who went out and rode any amount of the course or the full course deserves some credit because it was tough. This is the part where we're getting to some of the really steep parts in West Akron, the famous Cadillac Hill. It's a really rough brick hill that starts out super steep. So really you got to get up the first half. And if you make it up the first half here, it does then the gradient lessens. It's one of those where it's almost all about how balancing your bike. I made it up this time. I had leaned forward, my tires started to skid, and I'm like, no, you got to stay in the saddle. And my inclination when I want to put out more power climbing is always to stand, because I didn't really come from mountain biking so much maybe, but yeah, you got to realize, no, I need to balance my weight backwards and forwards if I'm going to make it up this. Here we are riding through Akron's Glendale Cemetery, beautiful old cemetery with cool winding roads. The gravestones back there actually read like the street names in Akron. All the early important people are buried there. And then here we are over in Highland Square where there's, believe it or not, still some gravel alleys, even though it's a completely full built out neighborhood. So yeah, really interesting that's kind of where part of the industrial gravel term came from, is having those kinds of cuts back there. Yeah, all day too, where the route did double back on itself, you would pass other people and get a shout and wave and all that. Coming across this pedestrian bridge here over the freeway, at the end, my buddy Bob was like, ooh, I was not ready for the rough sidewalk. And I didn't realize that I was not ready for it because I pinch flatted there. I actually have tubes in my tires right now because I've flatted on the tubeless and thrown tubes in and never taken them out. I made it all the way back. Here we are at Missing Falls Brewing for the after party. But when I walked out to my bike after the after party, the rear tire was totally flat. And in hindsight, I realized that it was starting to feel a little loose and sloppy. Anyways, that's about it for this one. Thanks as always for watching. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member or check out our little sticker and t-shirt store down below. I will see you in the next one. Peace.